I just love you guys, and I appreciate you being here for us, and I appreciate you doing the things that you're doing, and I appreciate you building this. Please like this episode, as well as every other episode you do enjoy going on right now that I'm very excited about. And I see Doge, and I see the realignment of the educational system coming together for a real unique opportunity that we haven't had in a long time. And that's exciting more and more each day. It all comes back to coming back to yourself, taking your you have three brains, right? You have the brain of the head, you have the brain of the heart, and you have the brain of the gut, gut instinct, right? I would love to really be able to get into some comfortable situations where we can start feeding back into the community that we haven't had in a long time. If we take the right approach, we have the ability to really dramatically affect not only the children growth. We could start turning revenues and rolling them into, for instance, here in the small town, seeing what kind of effects we have. We have coming up very shortly, as much as we should. And I think this is probably the strongest because it has emotion as well. And then those two signal to the brain to send out the chemicals that do the work that needs to be done according to whatever I have already talked a little bit about it with Emma on Emma Lynn and Grandpa Rod. I was just going to try and turn on another light. I realized they didn't have it on, but I was running out of time. So another day. Hi, this is Rod Duff. I'm your co-host with my son, Brandon. I'll bring him on in a second here. For Insights and Straight Talk, this is our conversation weekly on Tuesdays at 10:30 Central Standard Time, where we talk about in that economic lane, let's say, in that automation, that movement, that AI movement moving forward at hyperbolic speed. The Jetsons aren't just coming, they're here, right? And I'm fortunate enough to have a son that's much smarter than the average Joe, and I consider myself an average Joe. He's got a podcast over on YouTube here as well. Oh, we already have 26 people jumping in. Thanks for being here. Please subscribe. Our newsletter, if you look in the comments there, use that link to subscribe to our newsletter. A couple different options there. We have a free version and then $9 a month, and you can get all the back scenes. You can get all the upcoming shows, previews of those. There's different private chats and a number of different things so check it out, see what you think. If you like the content we're doing here, obviously subscribe. We're getting closer and closer to 10,000 subscribers. We're looking to be there by November, and think we're on track for that. Looks like we're streaming out to Facebook, LinkedIn, obviously here on YouTube, X, and Instagram. So follow those profiles as well. They're growing tremendously across all our social media. We're almost at 20,000 subscribers, or whatever the different ones call them, whatever they're called, contacts or whatever. And like I said, sign up for our newsletter. I want to give a big shout out again to the Mangum City Library. Margaret Carter, as it's called. She was a big influence in this town, which, by the way, has buildings here from the 1890s. Beautiful town, had its height a little bit, kind of flattened out. And we're looking to build upon, a lot of news worthiness about rural towns and small towns across this country. And I decided to not only be next to my son, who you'll meet here shortly. He's just over the border in northern Texas. I'm in southern Oklahoma, and very excited about that opportunity to get to see him and his family, my granddaughter as well, and really look forward to building that relationship continually on. But today we're going to talk about boring passive income, how creators can convert into clients. And of course, we're going to get into a little bit of description here, I think, early on. We've got about 73, 74 people on now. We're going to get into some, last week we did a lot on micro farming, how to grow lettuce and fruits and vegetables in this age of being able to, or having to scale down. Worried about big ag, big pharma, and that relationship of tossing us back and forth between the two, and just churning our money out, losing more and more of our own abilities to get ahead and get healthier. There's a whole subject there, and we're going to keep diving into that. Let me bring Brandon on here real quick and kind of start talking about last week's comments regarding the difference between, let's just make it easy and say, AI and automation. Of course, we'll get into blockchain and crypto and all those other parts of how the new world, new money is being made. Hey, how you doing, son?
I am amazing. How are you?
You are always amazing, but how you doing?
Amazing.
You got 104 people on. You're doing amazing. You're matching yourself, your own efforts. That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you agreeing to kind of start and give your time each week to pass on your expertise, because I mean that's how you're built. I mean, you and I have had that talk before. Forget about revenues and all that. Just add value to the people that are out there, right? That's kind of your mantra.
Right. I just left a message in the private chat, but yeah, definitely. So it's definitely a good thing to understand automation, how money moves. So like the M2 money supply, why that's increasing, and how that actually affects people's lives.
What's M2? What does that mean? Did you say M2 money supply?
Yeah, M2 is like it's called money supply. It's the momentum of how the velocity of money works. I actually brought up the definition. So refers to the velocity and acceleration of M2 money supply, a broad measure of the total currencies and highly liquid assets in an economy. So it's how fast money moves. And so it kind of, it's funny if people will say like things like the world is in debt by like $72 trillion. I guess the big talk right now is that America is in debt with like 38 trillion or $58 trillion or something to that extent. And then people are like, how? And it's or to who? And it just reminds me of like a parable that people talk about or have used in the past where, and I'll give you the story. Essentially, what happened is a cowboy comes into a town and he's looking to stay a night at a hotel, and he's just been on the road this whole time, stops into the city, goes to the hotel or the saloon or whatnot, the hotel, and says, I need a room. And the guy says, that's great. We're here to help. It's $25 a night. And if you don't like what you are staying in, we have a 24-hour refund policy. And so the cowboy says, that's great. Here's $25. And so that little hotel manager accepts $25 and is now $25 richer. But then he realizes that he owes the shoemaker $25. And so he takes that $25 and gives it to the shoemaker. And the shoemaker is like, thanks, that was the debt that I owed you, that you owed me. Perfect. You are squared away. You have no more debt. And the shoemaker's like, hey, I'm drinking at the local saloon every single night. My bar tab is $25. Let me go pay that debt back. And so that debt is then paid to the saloon person. The saloon person goes to the next person, and similar thing, pays off their debt, and then that same debt goes back to the hotel manager and it's like, hey, I stayed at your hotel. Here's that money. It's all paid up. And so essentially everyone had debt to each other, but they were all paid with the same money. And at the very end,
Yeah.
the saloon officer or the cowboy who stayed at the hotel was like, you know what? I actually don't like this hotel. Even though I stayed for 22 hours, I'm going to need that refund back. And so he leaves, and now everyone's paid off. The cowboy has still his money, but no one's in debt when everyone was in debt previously. And so that's exactly the money M2 supply is essentially the money going around in a circle of each of these people. And if you're wondering who we are in debt with, well, it's to no one, essentially. It's just to create urgency to be like, okay, we're in debt to something. So money is just kind of made up in a sense. And so I think that if you think of like, we won't probably talk about it in this section or today because crypto and automation and creator, economy is quite different in a sense. They have some overlaps, but the essentially another reason why crypto was brought into the world was one, it allows for people to increase money supply. So as that money is, it's traded 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So that money just keeps adding to the supply and the momentum of that supply. So instead of each couple hours sending it to the shoemaker, to the salon, to the saloon, to the hotel, it's going like every second. And so understanding how money flows, and a lot of people think about like money trickles down from the top to the bottom with people earning paychecks and that sort of thing. But ultimately, you're buying things that essentially are renewable, like energy, property tax, all that goes back to the top. So really, that's how the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer because they don't own the resources at the top. And so as far as the understanding why money is so important, how it works, I think is why it's not taught in school, is because then if you'll always be in financial slavery, essentially, because in the United States, we're huge consumers. And so we tend to want to buy the newest products to keep up with the Joneses. We want to have a nice wedding band. So all those cost money. And I think previously diamonds were considered junk until the De Beers, one of those, the diamond company did a whole marketing ploy to get people to believe that diamonds are forever. And it's similar to the marketing that people did with lobster and crabs, because they were bottom feeders and no one wanted those. And then they did marketing like we're getting all this crab and lobster and the fish. And when we're fishing, we might as well make a profit off of it and market it as something that is luxury. So it's important that the things that are being marketed to us might not necessarily be the best thing for us. It's just to get us to spend and get us to be deeper and deeper into financial slavery.
It's funny you say that. It's not that it's a bad thing, but what's the card company that created Valentine's Day? There was Valentine's Day was a Hallmark. Yes, they actually created the holiday and said that it was a holiday for the exact same reason, strictly for business standpoint.
Well, I mean, now we see
more and more examples.
Well, yeah, we see it every day now. It has some kind of like ice cream day or donut day or hamburger day or pie day. So it's always like something to get people to consume and spend on. And so, how long did it take Brandon to see his first income results? I would say that's a loaded question, because I would say
You've been
that
doing this since high school, dude.
yeah. So when I was in high school, my dad would, and he's told this story a few times.
You're gonna tell the story. You're gonna tell the
Uh,
story of how foolish I looked.
So it's not foolish. Just didn't understand. Weren't asking the right questions, maybe. So
Oh, good point. I like that.
So I was huge into gaming, and I used to play this game called World of Warcraft, and I haven't actually played it
Yes.
in about a year, maybe a little bit longer. And a new expansion's coming out, but I'm not gonna play. But
heard about
the I was really, really good, and I was in the top rating guild, and on the server, and I got to a point where I was my character was so high level that another opposite faction was like, "Hey, we really would love for you to play with us. Would you consider rolling?" And I was like, "Well, sure." But then I have this other character that's not really doing anything. So I ended up selling that character for like $600 or $700 when I was like 16. And I was like, wow, that is the most money you ever had. And that was not
Yeah.
passive income because I spent a lot of hours into that. And so I was like, this is, great, but how do I do this at scale? And so I found a program that would play for me. And so I would set up like 6 or 7 accounts, and the program would essentially play the game for me, level up the characters. It wouldn't get to the level that I was at, but it would get people to kind of the starting point of where the game gets interesting, I would say. And so it skipped a lot of the downtime and allowed for people to start fresh. So I would sell the accounts just full blown for like $100. My cost was like, I think $40. And then depending on how many characters I could level up in a month, would be my income. And then I started to optimize it where instead of selling the whole account, I would strip the account of the gold and then sell the same price because they didn't really care if they had 1,000 gold or 0 gold. They just wanted the character. And so from there, I would optimize my passive income. So passive income is on a scale. It's a scale of like not passive and very passive, but there's always a certain amount of setup before that passive income is had. And so at first I was, leveling these characters, and then I made a great deal of money. And then I started to optimize it. And so the leveling and playing wasn't taking time, but the like setting them all up to get them to start playing, selling the gold, finding buyers, that took time. And so that made more money. And so it's just leveling up. And then, like as an adult, I bought real estate. I bought a single family house, and then a second single family house. And that rent check came every single month. But then I took it a step further where once we get 6 units, I hired a property manager. And that property manager then took care of all of the rental properties. And all I had to do was whenever we got a new tenant, he would send me a kind of a PDF of their driver's license, what they had in collections, their credit score, and his recommendations. And so I just had to say a yes or no, and that was just an easy way to buy back my time and make it more passive. So previously, when I had 2 units, I had to do the marketing. I had to do everything. By giving up some money or a percentage, I was able to buy that time back. And so essentially, passive income allows you to make money, but it also, the more you can outsource it in a sense to like hiring a property manager, software, that sort of thing, buys back your time. And so that's those are two examples of how I've had passive income. I mean, I still have like affiliate offers where I get paid like thousands of dollars every single month just for people still using software, and I don't have to do anything. I haven't even promoted anything, and that, I would say that's almost, did it all years ago, but it's still paying dividends today. So there's definitely levels of passive income to it. And
What you're talking about, well, let's hover on that last one. What you're talking about there is a software that has a monthly, not membership, but a monthly
subscription.
fee subscription. Thank you. A monthly subscription to it. And this is years and years in the past, and they're just using that. And that's truly passive in that it's like a gym membership or any of the other memberships that, or subscriptions that you would see out there. We're talking about a newsletter and that being a passive income. Well,
Right.
The newsletter isn't passive because you got to write all the stuff, but that's what you're talking about, is that reoccurring revenue.
Yeah. So there's two that I'm just off the top of my head. Is a software tool that I use, and I'll get to the AI tools to automate income streams here in a second. But the first one is a tool for a CRM that businesses use. It's a very sticky product, so people tend to use it for a long time. But if their business,
What do you mean
goes
by
down,
sticky?
that means it's once they set
Stays
it up,
with-
yeah, they stick with it. And so
Gotcha.
as time goes on, they will, if their business doesn't do well, they're going to unsubscribe at some point. So I've been paid the same for like years because these are companies that have been using the same tool to grow their business forever. But if they fall off, and say they all fall off, like that's a possibility too. So then
Sure.
that income stream goes away. And then
Is that
the other one,
is that the software, the CRM that you're talking about?
yeah.
That's high level,
Yep.
right? Isn't that what that's
Yep.
called? Okay. I want to
And
talk to you
then
about that, by the way.
Okay, and then another one is crypto. So I have another affiliate program that I've done that I've done content for, and I still get affiliate commissions from that. And that just, what's great about getting affiliate commissions in crypto is that as time goes on, though that value increases in Bitcoin, because just it increases over time, versus the purchasing power of with the dollar decreases over time. And so that's why money sitting in the bank is trash, and you have to use it to make more money. And that ties back to the very beginning of the conversation, where we're talking about the M2 money supply and the momentum of money, because the more money moves, the more you make, or lose. But the more it moves, essentially it allows for greater wealth generation. So like I can buy
That's a
rental
capitalist
property.
system.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
that's
so-
a capitalist system. Money has to move in order for our economy
Right.
to be effective at all. Just staying on crypto for a second before you continue on. The one thing one thing is that it's more new to older generations, of course, but it's new in that there's a lot of swirl around it. The affiliate that you're talking about with crypto, explain what you mean by that. And also, when you're saying it has some volatility, just like the quote unquote stock market would, which they're different. But isn't crypto much more volatile? But it's still the same thing where if you just invest in it instead of using it as a money source, that's better. Or kind of, let's stick around crypto for a minute before we kind of dive back into the rest of your sentence there, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So to answer your first question, the
Oh,
affiliate,
well, hold on. We have 531 people on right now. Go ahead.
Perfect.
Sorry.
By the way, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Do not take anything as financial advice from what I'm saying. I'm just telling my own experiences. What you do with your own money is up to you. So I just want to preface that. But ultimately, crypto is more volatile. But if you look at the top stocks, the top stop banging, the BTC, the housing market, it all goes up over time. And so if there is statistically,
Bitcoin?
yeah, Bitcoin,
BTC?
yeah,
Bitcoin,
Bitcoin is
okay.
BTC.
Gotcha.
The those ultimately those asset classes, there, if you look at the time horizon of 20 years, 100% of the S&P
Which one
500,
of
the
them?
top crypts, the top ETFs, the top crypto, Ethereum and Bitcoin and the housing market has all gone up over 20 years, 100% of the time. So if you look at a long enough
Sure.
horizon, yes, you'll definitely make money. But obviously, you want to, if you pick, I don't, what was that? Enron, they were a top stock and they fell. So that's why you look at.
Well, that's a whole different thing. That was a
Yeah,
scam.
yeah.
That was a
But,
paper company. That's all that.
right.
That was that's what they thought crypto was in the beginning. So that's a great example of what you just said. It's not, but I think that's where a lot of the people were so paying from, because that was a pyramid scheme
Oh, yeah.
flat out.
Yeah. And so so that's why, like, if you look at an ETF like S&P 500, then it's just historically has gone up 10% over the scope of 20 years, versus if you look at it year by year, you might see some years down 20%, some years up 100%. So just historically over the time horizon, it's about 10%.
Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense, and that's what I think people. Boy, there's so many things to open up here. You when you talk about investing, when you talk about creating wealth, or generational wealth is another term that goes around a lot. It's what you use, and time wise and effort wise and thought process wise, actual analysis wise of where to put your money. It's something you always told me is don't, spend money on things that bring value to you, not just lose money. Where you invest your money and your time is going to be either a wealth sucker or a wealth generator, right?
Right. So good.
Okay, I was just going to say thank you, Danny, for what you said, but adding into what you're saying here, which AI tool is good for automating income streams? And this is something you've just been walking around right now, and finish your thought, but this is where I kind of want to start working into some of these questions, because they're really, really good questions. You can see them. They're really good questions.
Yeah.
We've got 741 people on right now.
So the AI tool, I think it just depends on the task or the goal. So like there's a bunch of tools
Okay.
that can automate stuff. I wouldn't say it needs to be AI, but I'll give you an example. I use a tool called ZimWriter, and ZimWriter is a tool that does blogs and it can generate images. And so that tool is an AI tool that goes out and talks to ChatGPT or Gemini or any large language model, and will give it sections, and then it'll generate those sections, and then it'll grab from another tool, let's just say Midjourney or Fowl AI, and it will generate images, and then it'll create that blog. And so that blog can be like 2,000 words. And so that's done with AI, but then it needs to be hosted somewhere. And so you're then taking that blog and posting it on another platform, which would be like Medium or your own website, or someone else's website, or Reddit, or whatever that is for you. And so then if you could get traffic or clicks or ads from that by doing those, or you can have affiliate links within those articles to bring in extra
What is an
income.
affiliate? what you've mentioned that a couple of times, and I'm sorry I pushed you away from my original question. When you're an affiliate, a crypto affiliate, I mean, what is the terms? Look at the folks here. They look more like me than you. So I'm just, I always say I'm a safety net. Some of these terms are things like, one of the gentlemen said, is it safe to invest in crypto if you're just a beginner in 2025? A lot of the people on here right now, I think, are kind of in my space where I might even be a little bit ahead, but because of your, the whole make.com thing that you did with me and the automation, but still very unknowing.
Yeah.
What is an
So
affiliate?
affiliate is so when you refer, like, when you go, hey, did you see that awesome the Marvel movie last week? And they're like, oh, was it good? Then they're like, yeah, you should definitely see it. And then they are like, oh yeah, you think it's really good? You're like, yeah, like go see it. And then that would be like you're referring someone to go see that.
Right.
So an affiliate would be someone who refers a product, and if they buy that product, you get a commission for that. And so I, instead of being like, hey, Disney Plus has all the great kids shows, you should definitely go sign up. And if you sign up for Disney Plus, then I would get a commission. I don't think they have an affiliate program, but it's just a way for you to refer products to people. And in doing so, you get a kickback. And so what that does for business owners, depending on their CAC or what it costs for them to acquire a customer, then instead of paying, $20, $10, $100 per customer to acquire them using Google ads or Facebook ads or YouTube ads, they're paying that money essentially to affiliates to drive that traffic. And so affiliates.
How do they know you referred them? Because you're like, it comes in through a software. I mean, it's got to be automated somehow.
Yeah. So there's a tracking link and software that essentially does that. So they'll be like, you'll get your own unique link with a large URL attached to it, or a cookie. So a cookie is like a little token or a little piece of code on your computer that says, hey, I've been to this website before. This is who kind of referred me, or that cookie is attached to a particular user. And so the tracking of that is done through a software or through all sorts of different means. And so when they see that, they can pay the tool, like an affiliate management tool, will show how many signups you have, how many conversions you have, the payout for each of those, and that sort of thing. Let me actually just.
While you're doing that, just I'll add a comment for us old folks. It sounds like the affiliate program is basically the new version of being a manufacturer's rep, which is what I did, as you know, throughout my history, where you're being paid a commission for sending or receiving sales, or receiving sending the person to that company, and thus receiving a percentage or a commission on that service. This is the Jetsons version of what I did my whole life. I mean, basically, and a bunch of, anybody in sales, really, anybody who's worked for a commission-based kind of company, that's what the new world, that's what things are turning into. It's really a new way of opening up a lot more business, getting a lot more traffic, a lot more money moving around the system, like you were opening up with earlier. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead and share my screen.
Okay.
So like this would be your affiliate link. So like this large little link right here. This would be how much I've earned my lifetime, so 70,000, and then each month they pay me like 1,700, 1,400, 1,400, 1,300. So typically around 1,400 per month, and so that's
is this the crypto?
This is go
Which
high
one
level.
is this? Go high
Go high
level.
level.
Okay, good. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So essentially you'll have your affiliate link. This can be shortened to your own domain, which you can do things with that. Or you can just have this on a website and then it just goes directly to them and then they get cookied with this with this link. And then when they go back to that site, say from a different not a browser, the same browser but at a different time, that cookie will still be on there. Not necessarily if they say they just go to the website gohighlevel.com and don't click this link, they'll have a cookie that is attached to them that still says this person referred them. We're going to still give them credit. And so depending on how long that cookie lasts, if it's 30 days, if it's last click, if it's first click, then it depends on what how those tracking labels will be assigned to different affiliates. Is crypto still profitable in 2025? It is always reaching
some of that volatility stuff that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, so it's there's money to be made anywhere. So like people think that like, okay, you can make money from, there's always different levels to this game, of any game essentially. So like the level 1 would be like being able to hold. You're just holding crypto. If it goes up, it goes up. If it goes down, you don't lose money. You just don't have as much. You don't lose money until you sell because that's a taxable event. But so that'd be like level 1 to the game. Level 2 would be like, okay, now I understand crypto. I can do things like swapping and trading. I could do leverage. I could short the market. I could long the market with leverage. And so if level 2 would be essentially trading and knowing how to trade and that sort of thing. Level 3 would be like having your own crypto project with different utility, and you can make money that way. So that would be like Pancake Swap, where they're hosting a swap with the money, and they're getting paid fees for people using that platform. And so you would there's always levels to the game. So it just depends on how you want to do it. So like you could essentially, and this is probably going way into too much detail. Let me see if I can find something real quick. Earn staking. And then let's do stablecoin farms.
So you can do while you're looking at that. So you can do everything with crypto specifically, because crypto is not stock market.
Nah, it's
right?
this similar concept. It's like this. It's
similar concept, absolutely. But you can short it. You can the same thing you do in the stock market, you can do with crypto. So it's like its own stock market. I mean, for us laymen out here, it's kind of evaluated the same or looked at. The description is the same way, correct?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay,
all
it's
right,
starting to make sense. Do you ever just get crypto just for money, just for using it as I don't know, a credit card or a cash or however you want to term it, or is it more for at this point in the game? Because I think crypto and those kind of currencies are going to be a digital currency over time. We're not going to have cash at some point, I got to imagine. But right now, is crypto really should be looked at as an investment more than a financial tool, if the separation usable tool?
So there are ways to spend it and buy things at the current moment.
Yes,
so there is
yes, absolutely.
like crypto.com, you can essentially swap crypto for gift cards and that sort of thing. You can also use it to buy things like some like hosting domains or some I'll give you an example. When I sold my World of Warcraft account, on an auction site, people do accept crypto in terms of trade. So it is possible to essentially use it as a form of bartering, because that's what all just money is in general, is like a bartering system in a sense. Is this thing what you want equivalent to this other thing? If we both agree, then we can swap essentially. But then there's also the stock option of it, where you could take it, sell it, turn it into cash, and then use it for your own. Obviously, you would want to talk to a professional and see if how that will affect you with taxes, because selling crypto on a short term is subject to short-term capital gains. So just be mindful of that. But to go back to the question of like levels of this game, let me share my screen again real quick. That's not what I wanted. Window.
I'm ready.
Let's do this one.
By the way, while you're, oh no, you're already on. Never mind. Hold on. There we go.
Do you see cake?
There we go.
Do you see cake?
Redeem stake cake.
Perfect. So essentially, you can put your money into something like this. This is not financial advice. Do not do this. This is just an example. But you could take your crypto, not sell it, but put it into a staking pool, which is just essentially liquidity so that people can trade between two pairs. And by doing so, like if you do it at USDT and wrapped BNB, which are two different cryptos, if you combine them together and put them in a pool, you would get 46% APR, which, to put it in perspective of the banks, you in a savings account, at the most you're getting is 1%. Something like Apple Pay, their savings card, I think it's like 3.5%. A lot of them are.
And you're saying this is how much? 40 what?
46%.
40 something percent. 46% just by pooling them in this thing called Cake.
Yes. Well, on this platform called Cake. However,
I'm sorry, on this platform. Yeah.
But the thing about it is there's a thing called impermanent loss. And so if, for instance, the price of wrapped BNB goes much higher, then it's going to, I believe, sell a lot of your wrapped BNB and get more of the USDT. And I'll give you an example. Say you buy USDT in KROG, KRGE. It's paying 34%. But say KROG plummets and goes to zero, you're going to have a bunch of KROG which at 0%, like worth pennies now because it's been rug pulled or whatever. And I'm not saying that KROG is going to get rug pulled or anything like that. I have no idea. This is just an example.
What's rug pulled? What's rug pulled? Just meaning that everybody pulls their stuff out?
It could be multiple things. It could be the developers was like, gotcha, and took all the money and stole it from the pool. It could be there's a hack where there's just a bad line of code and the hacker came in and exploited that code and stole all the money. And so that value of that token plummets. You're still getting a 34%, but it might be, so if say you put in $1,000 and it gets rug pulled and it goes to zero, you're still getting 34% of 0% of $0, but your 0% is like nothing. So you're not making any money, even though you're still getting 34%. So just be mindful of that certain thing. But you can see
is that a common concern that should be?
Yes.
I mean, are these things that attackable?
Yes, rug pulls happen all the time. I would say
there was one on the news the other day. I think somebody's getting busted for that exact thing. It was a big deal where they where they pumped it up off of something like this. I don't know that. I don't think it was this, but I heard it on the news. There's a scam going around that you invest in this and they build it up and then they pull it before you can reach
So
your
that'd be a rug
gains.
pull. Yep. And so, but if you look at like wrapped BNB here versus USDT, you can see in the last 24 hours, there's been $304 million of transfers, of swaps, buys and sells between just this pool. So that'd be like, okay, that means that's a lot of volume. That goes back to that momentum, the M2 money supply. How quick is this money moving? And so you can see like on October 21st, which is today, there was, just today. So this morning, it's been a high volume in the morning, and then it kind of has dropped and then slowly increased. But over the week, you can see that like 264 million, 300. So like 200 million in a single day is pretty common. See that it does 52% APR over the last week. You can see the liquidity, how much fees people are making. So the fees, and then that gets back to how you make money with this. So the money is made based off the fees that, so whenever you swap crypto, there's a small fee associated with that. And that fee goes back to liquidity providers. And those liquidity providers over the last year have made $7 million.
What's a liquidity provider?
So if I have USDT and wrapped BNB and I put them in a pool, I'm adding and then put it into this bigger pool. If I take my crypto, combine it, and put it into this liquidity provider, everyone that exchanges their crypto is essentially using my crypto, someone else's crypto, to swap between. And so, like, if you need wrapped BNB, you would swap your BNB, so you trade it right here and trade it for USDT. And so you'd swap between these. And so when there's a fee, I don't know if I'll say here.
0.9? No, that's the amount.
Fee, 10 cents. So to swap one BNB to one USDT, it's about 10 cents. So
Gotcha.
That's what goes back into the pools, and that's what is split between everyone. So that's one example of how you can make money with crypto. Another option is, and this is the same kind of pools. So you're using a way to earn money from those pools. A safer bet, and I wouldn't say it's safer, not safer, because I'm not an expert to give advice, but you could do something that I've had experience with, which is doing that same thing, but doing stable coins. And so a stable coin is pegged to $1, 1-for-1. And so you don't have that impermanent loss, which is what we talked about when the price goes up and then it goes down and you get all that crypto. And then if it drops to zero, you literally have zero money. You can stay between a pegged token, which would be $1 to $1. And so those examples would be, let's see. Here. So USDT, to use that example, and BUSD, this is on Uniswap. And so there's only 155,000 in liquidity, total liquidity locked. So there's not a lot, but it's paying 21% off a stable coin. And those two stable coins are very popular. So it's like they have a lot of liquidity back to them. So the chances of them dropping in value is very, very little. So you can essentially earn 21% with the price staying flat. And that's just the fees that you get, and how much you earn based off how much you provide. So if we go to like Uniswap, oh, it's giving an error. Probably just because it's a bad link. You can add your USDT, you can add your BUSD, and then you create a pair. And depending on what fees you want, then you can adjust this. This is getting way over people's heads, but to answer the main question, can you? There you go. Which was, can people still make money in 2025 as a beginner? The answer is yes. You can hold, and the price has been going up, but also it's very volatile. You can do liquidity farming, and do 2 pairs that you think will go up in value very, very quickly, so that you make more money on both pairs, and then earn a fees on top of that. Or you can play the safe route and just get a stable coin and pair them together and then earn a percentage off of that.
So the stable coin, you were talking in the 20% return, and in the cake swapping, in those examples that you used, it was in the 40%. Is that because of the different? Is there is there a factor in that causes the difference in numbers? Because one's a safe coin connected, in other words, dollar to dollar. First part of the question. Second part, if there's with that safe coin, can there be a rug pull on that at all?
Yes.
And if so, what happens?
So yes, so stable coins can get depegged. They can also get rug pulled, but with things like Tether and a lot of these bigger coins are usually backed by the platform that's been building it. So BUSD is a part of Binance, and Binance is they have their main coin, their network coin, which is BNB, or in our example, wrapped BNB. They're the same thing, just a little bit different. I'm not going to go into the technical details about that. But then they have a stable coin, which is BUSD. And so it's in their best interest to keep their stable coin stable. But it could definitely happen where it does get depegged. If it's or it gets rugged or whatever, or anything like that.
What happened? Can it go to zero like it does on the 40% example, or since it's tied $1 to one to one, does if it gets rug pulled or pegged or whatever, and it's hacked and that all goes, is there less taken, or is it protected by the dollar and none actually gets taken? Or something's got to happen there.
So it depends on the total liquidity locked. So if there's zero money in the liquidity, then there's nothing to exchange it out of. And so what happens, most things are pegged to like a stable coin. So like the price of BUSD is usually paired to USDT. So by doing so, if people take all the how do I explain this? This might be an example, but it might work. So let's just say we have a jar of jelly beans, and inside the jelly beans is 1,000 jelly beans, and for every single jelly bean, it's a penny. And so you're like, hey, I have a dollar. Let me buy 100 jelly beans. So you take those jelly beans out, they get the dollar, and so that's the exchange. If someone decides to come in and steal all those jelly beans, then there's no you can't exchange that value because one, the
Mhm.
dollar is priced way
'Cause
too
it's
high
not-
for zero zero jelly beans. It's just air. So if it gets rug pulled, then there's nothing tied to that essentially. So it does go to
So
zero.
either way,
Yeah, and so the other aspect of why one is higher in APR, annual percentage value, or return,
right.
and the stable coin, one, it's more stable, and as more people bring liquidity in, that APR goes down because if there's 100 people in it and they're all making 100 um, percent
Ah,
APR, and then another 200 people come in, then it will just drain the value very, very quickly because that's not stable. So it drops depending on how many people are in that pool. So the lower the pool, usually the lower the liquidity and the more people that are in there, there's a much higher APR because it incentivizes degenerates or degens to invest into that high APR and to bring money into that. And so that's the difference between
degenerates.
well, that's what they call them in the crypto world is degens.
That's funny. That's funny. That sounds
Yes.
like a political argument a few years ago against one political group versus the other. And that was funny. That just hit me funny. So going back to here. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I answered that question, but just to round
Thanks,
out
Roy.
the next one. Let's go to the next one. We'll come back to that one.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
So how does the blockchain fund
Clayton.
real world assets projects?
Yes, I'm dying to know about this. The whole blockchain thing in regard, and that's connected to crypto specifically, right? Because you're making crypto through blockchain. No,
Kind of. So blockchain is where everything sits and handles and is a ledger, is an open ledger essentially. And then the crypto is on the ledger. So think of your Ethernet cable, and so that's the blockchain.
Okay.
The ones and zeros that are being on that channel on that Ethernet is the crypto. So that's the data.
I always thought, you farm, and it's very high. Their servers takes a lot of energy, and you can actually quote unquote make crypto. Isn't that's not blockchain?
Yeah, it is. So you're mining mining crypto
right.
to or farming mining crypto, which essentially you are using your computer to solve problems on the blockchain, and by doing so, you're rewarded for solving a secret code essentially. So there's a bunch of things going through the blockchain. By solving those codes, you're rewarded crypto in doing so. And so to answer the question, how does blockchain funding real world projects actually work? I would say that 99% of them don't work because the people doing them have no idea what they're talking about, and they don't know how to build a real business. I'll give you an example. I was working with a company that was working and trying to create a YouTube channel. Not a YouTube channel, a YouTube disrupting platform that was based off of Web3. And so the people in that used a crypto as their token, and they paid the creators with their token, but there was no additional revenue coming in. So if there's no additional revenue coming in, it doesn't prop up the price of the actual token, because as the creators and all the people that were on this platform, as we were paid the tokens, we swapped them for the money that was sitting in there. And so as say, for instance, there's $1,000 and we all had, say there's 10 of us and we all had 100, by each of us swapping out our tokens for the underlying asset, which would be USDT, then we essentially put all of our excess tokens in here, and those the USDT we now have, and so they have a bunch of tokens that are not attached to any real value, and so that's what tanked the price. That's what 99% of projects do, is they don't have a real business model, because all they do is they have operation costs and all of that.
Sure.
And those operation costs need to be funded with real life money, because the internet provider or their hosting company or their developers aren't going to be like, I can pay for groceries and rent with shitcoin. I can't. So I need to use real money. And so I need to swap shitcoin for real dollars, and be able to use that for my daily life. And so what a lot of projects do is they don't have a service or a business model that brings in income. And so what they need to do, if they were serious, is they would have two aspects of it. So like for me, if I was to do it, and I've been thinking about this a lot, is essentially I would have a project, say real estate, and I buy a farm. And that farm would, if you hold, say, I wouldn't even say hold. I would say if you buy our token, great. You get, and you hold it, you get these benefits. You get to be in our Discord with a private name. You get things that don't actually cost value, right? But they give status. And so you get this cool NFT of a carrot, which gives you access to come on the farm once a year, and that NFT gets burnt. But then you would need to have it where they spend that money, that crypto, in order to get that to get like a box. So like, say we now have you buy the crypto, you're like, hey, this has gone in value. I'm going to use that crypto to buy your farm box, and that farm box would then swap, and they would get the farm box, but then the platform would get the money to the liquidity providers, which would then increase the value of the token if it doesn't outpace the selling pressure. But you would also need an outside revenue source to inject money into that to handle all the labor costs of people working the farm.
Smart idea.
The seeds, the upgrading the farm to new soil, new tractors. If you do that, you're going to then have to grab from that token, sell those assets, which then tanks the price. To do that, you need something that brings in extra revenue outside of the platform itself. So like,
right,
you could say, for instance, you have that NFT, and you're like, you can come once a year. That gets you in the door to see the farm, but then you buy all this stuff with real money, and then that could be used to buy the tractor, and then that increases the value of the farm. And then essentially, in the real world, that would increase the value of the token, but it doesn't. You could then take that money and say, buy back, like any excess, you could then buy back your token, which then would increase the value. But most people just don't understand business, and they create a token that just feeds off the investors that have invested. And so what happens is they just cannibalize their own token, and then they essentially blame it on the community, and then the people that actually were that created this token kind of get out scot-free with all of the cash without any really without a rug pull or without anything, because they're like, oh, it was your fault. You guys sold all your tokens, and now we can't continue because blah, blah, blah. So most people do it wrong.
Yeah,
And
that makes a lot of sense. And I think
and
that's where a lot of the, not that just that example, but I think that's where a lot of the fear early on, especially with this whole new digital, world, it's because one, people don't understand business. So that's obviously in no matter what case, a difficulty, but then you have all these other complexities and ways that people are trying to create business in this new world, but still having the same mistakes, just a different currency type in
yeah.
in creating that business, right? Go ahead.
And that goes back to what Rob Thomas said. So if you want to highlight that.
Yeah, that was the passive income online. I was gonna stay with AI and then have this as the last one.
I mean, I just
Is
figured I'd
this
go
a
in.
better way to go?
It doesn't matter. What's the biggest
Okay.
mistake people make when starting passive income online? I think the biggest mistake, I mean, I think that it's the amount of time that it takes, because you
To
can
set
have some
up?
quick win. No, not necessarily set up. Like I think that many people, um, they're used to instant gratification. So like you work your 9 to 5, and you're like, oh, I got a paycheck for the week, the day, the month, or the every 2 weeks, whatever that the payout is for you, and they're expecting to get some kind of reward for putting in the effort that they've put in, and they're used to that instant gratification. I I I said this previously, but it's like a lot of people are expected to be like tapped on the head, like "good job for doing for promoting your business or for making a
Right.
post," and then they're like, "Okay, now like now I want some money for doing that," and that's not really what happens with entrepreneurship or just starting an online, or just in business at all. Is there's a lot of upfront sweat equity that is involved before you start seeing the fruits of your labor. So I like to say you should dig your well before you need to drink, because you should be, if you're thinking of shifting or getting into an online business or anything like that, you should do the things that you need to be done now before you even want to do it full time or anything like that. So um, like right now, I'm learning networking, AI, network AI. I already know AI. Networking, A plus, pretty much cybersecurity. And I'm not looking for a job or anything, but that is the future of things. So I want to be able to know how to talk in Python and do the programming language. I'm getting certifications now. I just passed a certification last night, half of it, and I'm going to be I'm going to be studying the next portion of it in a second after this call. And so right now I'm learning everything I need to know about networking, um, cybersecurity, and protecting my online information and my data, because big data is the oil of today. And so have to
Ooh, I
understand
like
how
that.
data is being used against you, because you guys probably don't know this, but all of our data is tracked online, and you wonder like, hey, how does this person know, or how does Google know I'm uh, this information about me? And it's because
Right.
you've, over like the last 10 years, you're like, oh, um, I I have headaches once a month, and then I last week, what causes a nosebleed? And then um, this month I'm dizzy and I need to lay down. What caused that? So like you've put all these things into data search, and then it's Google with all of its massive data says these are symptoms of cancer. I have no idea if it's a symptom of cancer. I'm just making things up, but
Sure.
you might not know that a nosebleed, a headache, and a dizzy spell is related to cancer. But Google is taking all that information and verifying it with other things, and is being like, "Hey, maybe you should go uh, check to see if you have a cancer screening today. Check this website for cancer screenings. And so it's given that you've given all these people all this information, and now they're using that against you to market towards you. And so, I mean, everything you put into ChatGPT, any kind of information that you're searching, when you're talking online.
ChatGPT too? Because
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I mean, it makes sense. So everything that I work with ChatGPT a lot, as you know. So
Yes.
everything I'm putting in there, different questions and this and that, is going into that big data, which is all tied to me in this case, right? And so that's where the algorithms start developing towards sending different, just like it's like when you watch TikTok or something, once you start watching, keep sending you the same crap.
Yeah.
It's kind of aggravating.
Yep.
So the same thing. So, but ChatGPT even, well,
Yeah.
I guess it's even bigger with that, right?
Right. So you have to think like
More sophisticated.
Yeah, and so you're having a conversation like a human, and then it's taking that information, and you got to watch your mic, because you keep hitting it and it's banging.
No, I'm hitting my table. I do it all the
Okay,
time.
yeah,
It's a different show than you're used to.
and
we're not aesthetically pleasing. It's part of the gig. Go ahead.
Got it. So it's
My mic's up here.
information. It's pulling all this information and it's building a profile off you. And so if you have this profile, you have to think that if say Google now has these people, all these people, thousands and millions of people that are men between the ages of 18 and 25, and they're like, we see a pattern that between these ages of United States men from 18 to 25, they typically believe this. If we feed them this information and this information, we could essentially get them to do things. So you have to think that all this information is able to be used against you. And so very interesting stuff. As far as prompting, is there a way to earn with AI prompts today? I mean, if you type something into a prompt, all you're going to get is words back. So can you do something with that? Maybe. Can you post it online? Say you put in a prompt and it spits out this amazing little post, and you post it on social media and someone buys your product, then yeah, I mean, that can make you money. Can you just enter a prompt and then money comes out of nowhere? No. Can you take that prompt and sell it online for like a course? Sure. There's millions of ways to make money. You just need to figure out a way to tap into line. Like money is like just a river flowing, and you need to find your tap in order to open up that river to pull that water from that tap. And so if that's creating a prompt that helps people use Claude Code to essentially create a better piece of software, that could be worth thousands of dollars to some people. It could be.
What does he mean by prompt? What does he mean by prompt? Is that a link?
No, prompt is just like.
I know that was his question.
Prompt is just like it's the one on the bottom.
I know.
Is what you
AI prompt.
It's just what you inject into the large language model. So it's like, hey, ChatGPT, how are you today? That's a prompt. If you said,
oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Act like a cybersecurity analyst and blah, blah, blah. That's a prompt. If you do a JSON file and it's like JSON, dog is black, dog's eyes are blue, and it's a piece of code, that's a prompt. So anything you inject into AI is essentially a prompt.
Gotcha. So when you're saying that, and that question is coming out, you can actually make money off of creating those prompts?
So like
you were just saying, you got to figure out the spigot to get the water out.
Right. So essentially like I said earlier, is you can't just type in a prompt and then money's going to flow out. Like that's not like a real thing.
Right.
But you
Right.
can create a prompt that is very detailed or organized, say for a business, and it's um, pretend you're um, a brand ambassador. These are the goals. This, and this. This is the task. This is the examples of the task. So it's this long prompt that is like, this is this. This is this. This is this. These are examples. This is what I expect my output to be. This is resources. So all this research that goes into that one prompt could be sold to businesses or to people that
Right.
essentially that would use that to make money. Or like I said, if you create something that you ask ChatGPT to make you a post for the day, and that post goes viral because of whatever you create, then you can get ad revenue. Or if someone buys your product because of that prompt, it told a story that resonated with people. So create the prompt, create a story about someone with using the hero's journey. It should have these elements and blah blah blah, and then ChatGPT gives you a story, and then you post that online, and that entices buyers to align with your story, and then they buy your product. Then you can make money with that prompt. There is no prompt that you're going to put in that is going to output money instantly.
Right. Yeah. It's all about creating the service. So, I mean, the question's technically correct. You can start earning with AI prompts. In the realistically, the two separate examples that you gave, and to me, the only way possible, the one prompt, I'm going to take him. The one prompt is something that you physically have an asset to sell, a product to sell. That's why. So you create this prompt that it's like when Brandon created back in high school, and that's a funny story actually. Really changed the whole dynamic at one point in our lives together. But the prompt that he's talking about, obviously, there's just a review, is I'm a coder, or I'm in that business. My service or product is writing out that prompt. That prompt has a series of well done, attractive actions that create an event. And you go to a company, or as Brandon said, a company or a person or whatever, and say, and that prompt then now creates this very valuable action or result, and that has a value to whoever you're potentially selling it to. So I didn't see it come back there. At the end of the day, that's one product. The other is in making revenue from a prompt is like what you were saying there, Brandon, is you create this prompt, and that's kind of where I'm working right now, where I'm creating these prompts and asking for, hey, I want this, and that, and then to create a message or a story or a post that then goes into a newsletter, or I was showing the newsletter, or goes into something that creates, that somebody says, hey, I like what that's saying, and then come and join your community. Those are the ways that prompts can create value out of AI, correct?
Yeah, how a prompt can earn you money.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Great question there, Clive. Clayton, I appreciate what you brought to the party here. Rob Thomas, Ray Drink. I think we got everybody else. Great show. I mean, we still got well over 700 people. It's been going right in that seven link, which is us growing in this prompt. No, in this channel, in this lane that we're doing. Do you have any final comments or anything we didn't really get into some of the more difference is, at some point as we build on the AI, I lost him there. He's either gone and went on to his next gig, or there he is. I was just asking people, did I say something wrong? No. Final comments?
No, I think we were going to go into the automation, but we ended up staying with crypto, so that works.
We did.
Yeah, I think that knowing automation saves you time, which then allows you to make more passive income because you're able to free up your time, and then you're able to use that automation to scale. And so, it's just, I think, learning all of that, all the different, there's just, keep learning. I think that my final thought is that most people after college or high school, they think that they figured it out and they don't need to keep challenging themselves, and they stop learning. And so if you continuously learn and continuously improve yourself, you will do well in life.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, and that's never been more true than it is today. I mean, because the world is dramatically changing, and we always talk about this. You're the kind of the bridge generation that has seen all the things that we have, that my generation, have seen, have gone through, have been and experienced. And every generation after you has never seen any of how the world was. And so for younger people and generations, their life is just continuing in its normal cycle. And you need to continue to learn because it's moving faster than it ever has before. It's starting to gain that momentum, but you're used to it more. The generation that you're in, Brandon, and beyond, it's even more critical to listen to what you just said. The need to learn more every day is hyperbolic now, because we're either going to, this on your chin here, us old people are either going to get the ability to survive, or we can strive in this, because it's something that once you learn, it's a whole new language, true, but it opens up whole new doors. You agree, Brandon?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the more you learn, the more you can utilize or take from to push into other aspects. So like me learning about real estate helped me in understanding like how real estate works and asset appreciation, depreciation, cash flow, cash on cash return. All that has helped me with crypto, and how I've been able to do so well in crypto because of understanding those concepts in real estate and how things are tied to the value that people are willing to pay. And so, just keep learning. I think that's never stop learning, I would say.
That's paramount, man. Give everybody a big wave. I'll kind of close it out on the back end. If you're hanging out in the green room, I say hi, or otherwise I'll chat with you later. I love you.
Love you too. Bye.
All right, bye. So yeah, as promised, another beautiful day in paradise. You went on to that project right away. I'll talk to you later, Brandon. We floated right around 700 today. Very, very exciting in that this is a growing channel. I think this is our second episode ever in this Tuesday time slot. I really want to build this up. I want to get to 12,000. Later on, 10,000 subscribers by November. We're really help support us, folks. I mean, please subscribe. Here's my the newsletter, fresh off. First introductory print was yesterday released. We dropped it at 2:30 in the afternoon Central Standard Time. Going to be doing a regular free and paid subscription. Different, Brandon was talking about different levels and some of those things. We need to survive to keep this message going and keep the great American middle class moving and more empowered and moving forward and working towards the utopia that's there. It's coming. The Jetsons are coming and they're already here. And I use that term, and you should know why I use that term. It ties into today's subject of AI and crypto and many other things that are leaning into the reasons we are as a society, as a human creature, as this human experience continues to move forward. We need, like Brandon said, we need to keep learning. And that's something that is absolutely paramount for many, many reasons. Your brain functions better when you learn new things. Synapses are created and you actually it becomes emblematic moving forward. It's very important to not just keep learning things, but really but learn things that right now keep you on pace with the direction that the world is going. I appreciate you guys being here. I love everything that you guys are doing. Please like this episode. Assuming you like it, if you like what you see here, please subscribe. I'm going to be starting to say that stuff every single day, and please subscribe to our newsletter. There's going to be some really nice things in there. Something those that come aboard will hear about Barbieisms. These are things that I've got a couple of decades worth of joy and knowledge and interesting conversations that come out of these. Sign up, subscribe, and you'll find out more. This is Insights and Straight Talk. I'm your founder, and I'm also your host. Co-host today with my son Brandon. Co-host with my grandmother. Oh my God, I didn't talk enough on today's show. Brandon did all the talking. I haven't even warmed up my brain yet. That was an amazing show. I appreciate you guys being here. Co-host with my granddaughter on Saturdays, and the other days we talk a lot about some of the other topics, mental health. If you guys were on yesterday, we did 2 shows yesterday. Each one was over 8,000 audience members, well over 8,000 audience members. This show started, I think we had 140 people on, and it just people like, okay, there's another AI thing. What's this looking like? So a number of our subscribers, we fortunately have almost 10,000 here, over 20,000 across our total social media, and we only started this a year ago. So we're feeling pretty good about the trajectory and the way things are moving. But we need a lot of support. As Brandon said before, you've got to have a revenue stream to keep the project going. So I've been funding this for the last year and a half myself, and not that's a good or a bad thing. It's just, if there's, money's got to come in to replace the money going out. And there's a lot of cost to doing that. And it's not like it was in the past. I talk about things like, when I did marketing for my machinery business of over 30 years before I started to wind it down and use that to create the revenue, create the funding for this venture. The cost of doing business in the old traditional way is much more expensive, much more dogmatic, much more encumbering. A lot of things that folks like me had to push rocks uphill are now more in a level field where I can do marketing for, you saw it, fractions of a penny per transaction kind of thing, where I've done automations in the past that cost me $14,000 just to train, not set up, not, the additional monthly costs of thousands of dollars a month, all that's come dramatically down. And to my point that utopia is on its way, because the cost of automation, robots, all that is going to bring the cost of goods and the cost of services and the expenses of all that way, 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 way down. There should be nobody that ever lives below a poverty line in California. Fuck. Oh my God, I don't even know why I said that one. In America, and by extension, the world. Those are all things we'll get into later, but within our subjects of what I was talking about before. This is Insights and Straight Talk. I'm your host and founder, Rod Duff. And man, God bless you all. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you supporting us. Sign up, subscribe, help support the thing. Our newsletter is free. Is a free version, and we give regular updates on what's happening on the show. But also we have a $9 a month. It's discounted if you pay a year in advance. It's just our way to be able to support the services, additional services. We have free private chat rooms, one-on-one conversations, Barbieisms, and a number of other things. Subscribe, sign up. And again, this is Insights and Straight Talk. I'm your host, Rod Duff. And me, I'm out.
Before you leave, if you'd like to watch another one of the podcasts, click the first link in the description. We love having you here, and we appreciate all your support.
And with that, producer Barbie and I are out.